Welcome to Distorted Opinions. I'm Kayla, and this week I'm joined by Keisha. Thank you for joining me again, Keisha. It's always fun to do shows with you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. And we had another moment here. We were about to get into our conversation before starting the show, and I was like, hold on, let's get this rolling and let's get into conversation, because I feel like this is we're gonna end up having our whole show and we're not gonna be recording it. So this episode is, if you haven't noticed the last few episodes that Keisha and I have done together, we have spent quite a bit of time talking about social media finds as far as music. And in particular, I've been spending quite a bit of time on TikTok getting various different artists and musicians kind of thrown at me on the For You page. And I came across this one the other night that I sent Keisha a text the next day, and I said, you got to listen to this guy. I am debating. What I actually said was I'm debating on unofficially doing kind of like what we did with Daryl's song a few episodes back, and submitting this guy's song as a music review segment. But I'm not sure that I'm going to do that, because I have a feeling we're probably going to spend a significant amount of time in this episode just talking about this guy based on the way I feel like this conversation's probably going to go. But this guy, his name is Colm. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Colm R. McGuinness. And in case you didn't figure it out from his name, he is very much Irish.
Very much so.
And if you watch the videos, you can tell he's very much Irish. But the song actually that I had seen that led me to his music was he did a cover of Disturbed's version of The Sound of Silence.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which I didn't send you, and I wasn't sure if you had listened to any of his other stuff or looked at any of his videos on YouTube if you had stumbled across it. But that's initially what showed up, and I started looking through the rest of his videos, and I found that he had a cover of The Northwest Passage by Stan Rogers. And The Northwest Passage was used in a show I've talked about a long time ago when we did our episode on TV show soundtracks. I talked a bit about Due South, which was a Canadian show that I loved watching as a kid. As I was growing up, I used to watch this show, and The Northwest Passage was used in the final episode of that series. So I saw that this guy Colm had done a cover of Northwest Passage, and I had heard his Disturbed cover that he had, and I'm like, I gotta hear this guy. So I start listening to this, and I'm like, this is absolutely incredible. So I sent it to Keisha, and I'm like, Keisha, you gotta listen to this. I feel like we are probably going to spend a significant amount of time talking about this guy. So you took a listen to it. And so one of the things that you'll find is common across all of his songs is he sings all of the vocal parts. He plays all of the instruments. And that may not, like, you may be thinking, okay, so he sings all the vocal parts, but you have to hear the vocal parts, because this guy's range is incredible. The Disturbed cover, he's got this bassy baritone, like he sings this in a real low octave. And then he starts, I don't know if this was shown in the TikTok version, but in the full version of the song that he puts on YouTube, after he gets through that, then he starts the next part, and it's him singing all the different ranges. And it sounds like he's got a choir of men singing with him. And we talked about this the last episode too, that there are people that do the videos and they sing, or it's not even necessarily the same person doing it, but they sing with other people on TikTok, and they do like a duet with other people, and there's different people
like
singing.
They'll harmonize. They'll completely they'll form a choir virtually.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're picking up on is the range that he has and the ear he has to have, like how trained you have to be in order to harmonize with yourself and be able to get the timing right and the pitch. So it's not as if you're singing, I think he had like 3 or 4 ranges that he was singing in. It's the fact that you have to match that pitch perfectly as you're singing them, which he does. And it sounds like he's in like a church hall. Like that's what was insane. I was like, it sounded as if he was belting this out in a hall. That's what I found was so fascinating. And he had the audacity to pick up the violin. I was not prepared for that. Like, excuse me, sir. I did not expect that because I did not watch. You did tell me about his cover of Disturbed.
Yes.
Who I'm a huge fan of, and you know this. I love Disturbed. But I had to listen to this. I had to listen to this cover 3 times because I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, well, so yes, he picks up the violin, but the other instrument that's in there that he's also playing is, I think it's I looked it up because, so I showed my mom the video because I'm like, you gotta hear this guy. Of course, I think she finds it interesting, but she doesn't really look at it from the same perspective that I do, where I'm like, this is really impressive that this guy is singing all these parts. The first thing she notices is that bass part that he's singing, that baritone. She's like, how is he getting his mic to do that? I'm like, what do you mean, how is he getting his mic to do that? And she goes, he's doing some sort of an effect with his mic, right? And I'm like, no, he's singing that. And she goes, no, he's not. And I'm like, he is singing it. So I had to find other videos. Not that necessarily made it any clearer to her that this guy was actually singing these parts, but I'm like, so I found the Disturbed cover and I'm like, listen to this. And she goes, no way, he's not really singing that, is he? And I'm like, he is singing that. He's singing all of the parts. And she just couldn't wrap her mind around it. But the other instrument he plays it looked like a mandolin. And I know that it's probably a traditional Celtic instrument. So I had to look it up and I had no idea what to look for. So of course I go to my good friend Google and I just put in, I think, Celtic guitar or something to see what came up. And, fortunately it did help me find what I was looking for because it took me to Guitar Center's website where you can buy one of these things. And, of course I get different results on the browser on my, oh no, maybe it wasn't. Did I put in Celtic guitar? I might have put in Celtic mandolin because I think my mom, surprisingly enough, was like, oh, it looks kind of like a mandolin. And I'm like, it does look a little bit like a mandolin. So I looked it up and sure enough, it's called a Celtic mandolin. Ooh. And so he's playing this Celtic mandolin. He's playing the violin parts. He's singing all of the parts. And then there's no drums, but you can hear like a stomping sound throughout. So I assume he's doing some sort of a, like not a drum, but just something to keep the beat.
Rhythm. Yeah, just to have like a little bit of rhythm there for him to stay on time for sure. And he could just be doing it with his foot. Who knows? This person is a magician. Okay. Like it's wild.
I think he might be a music major, like music is his background by trade. I didn't actually look up much about him before doing the episode. Normally I'm better about doing that. What I did find is that apparently there is another Colm McGuinness that is a musician. I'm pretty sure it's not the same person. I did a lot of, because I was looking on Facebook yesterday for like a Facebook page and I found this Colm McGuinness music and I'm like, oh, this must be the guy. And I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, it doesn't quite look like the same guy. Like, he is he? So then I went back to the video and I'm like kind of going back and forth and I'm like, is it and then I finally realized, no, this isn't the same guy. So that's probably why this Colm McGuinness goes by Colm R. McGuinness on all of his platforms, because there's a Colm McGuinness music, which is, I don't think, the same thing. Although on YouTube, he goes by Colm McGuinness Music, but I don't think the Facebook page is the same guy.
There are too many.
I'm not 100% sure. I think there's two, but I don't know.
From everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. So Colm R. McGuinness or Colm McGuinness Music, if you want to go look for him on YouTube, but he's Colm R. McGuinness on I think on TikTok, and I know that's what he goes by on Spotify, because all of his music's on Spotify too, and I've been listening to it for the last 2 days. Yeah.
What are some other interesting covers that he has?
So he also does. So he has a couple of albums that are sea shanty tunes, which I think is really awesome. He's got Barrett's Privateers, which is another Stan Rogers cover. Yep. He does Drunken Sailor. The album is a Colm Night at Sea. Get it?
Puns.
That's all right. Let me tell you. So he's got another album, and I don't remember the name of it. I wasn't actually paying attention. Oh, okay. So it must be this one. Keep Colm and Cover Up is the name of it. But so the picture on the cover, because I left the YouTube playlist going on the TV. Mm-hmm. And my mom comes out and she's like, she made some comment about the cover. Something about him because he's wearing shorts and like a cable knit white sweater with matching booties, and he's holding a rooster. And I'm like, oh, you mean the cover? I said something about, oh, you mean the one where he's sitting there in shorts holding a rooster. And she goes, something tells me there's more to that than he's supposed to be holding a rooster. And I'm like, and she goes, do I need, and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with that. I just wish you wouldn't.
Did she go there? I hope
she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And I'm not going to say it because this is a family-friendly show.
It is.
But
this is a very family-friendly show. We keep it PG here.
But he's holding a rooster, so I'm sure you can use your imagination as to what she said he was holding. So it didn't even occur to me in my mind that might have been what was intended with that cover, but it is kind of funny now to look at it, because I think perhaps maybe based on the name of the album, the picture, and then the commentary from my mom, that may perhaps have been what the aim was, the intention behind that.
Go for it.
Yes. So he's got a few albums here, but there are, like, he does a cover of the Halo theme.
That's amazing.
And I haven't listened to that yet. He's got, like I said, a whole album of sea shanty tunes, which are just awesome. And then he has at least one song, probably a few actually, that are in Gaelic, which is really cool. Ooh. And then, like I said, Sound of Silence is another one. And I thought I saw on his YouTube, and I didn't go looking, but I thought he had a cover of About a Girl by Nirvana, which I need to go listen to, because I feel like that's probably very interesting. But yeah, so he plays the violin, he plays the Celtic mandolin, he's doing all the vocal parts, he's doing whatever the stomping percussive sound is. And then there's some other videos where he's playing another instrument that I feel like is probably some sort of a traditional Celtic instrument, and I wouldn't even begin to be able to know what to search for to figure out what this instrument is. But I see that he has it. It's the album cover for one of his EPs here, and I'm trying to figure out which one it is. I guess it's just a single. He has a song called If I Had a Heart, and it's in Norse, apparently. And he's holding this instrument that it's like it's rectangular, and he's holding it as if he would hold a mandolin or a guitar in your lap, but he's playing with some sort of a bow, and there's only 3 strings on it, and he's playing with the bow over the top, as opposed to, like, if you played a violin, you would play with the bow from underneath. He's got the bow coming from over the top in this picture. I don't know what this instrument is, but it looks really freaking cool. And let me just tell you, I've never been so inclined to want to buy a Celtic mandolin as I have after listening to this guy's music. I'm like, well, I feel like it would be like the time that I thought playing violin would be fairly easy to transition to as somebody who would play guitar, and quickly found out that no, it doesn't, and me playing the violin sounds like cats trying to claw their way out of a bag.
Oh,
so
no.
Yeah, not something anybody want to listen to.
It is difficult to get started.
You played?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I actually, this person just made me think about like how I want to spend my free time. I was like, maybe I should pick this up again. Like, maybe I should do this. Like a la, for those who are familiar with the that TV show, the BBC version of Sherlock. Okay. Because in that, Benedict Cumberbatch plays Sherlock Holmes, but he has he plays the violin. And,
okay.
I watched an episode of that recently because it was like around Christmas. It was like Christmassy themed. But that aside, between that and this, I was just like, I feel like the universe is telling me to pick this back up. Like,
yes.
Even if it's just like in my free time as a way of like just like meditating and like enjoying the art of like playing the violin, and that's it, not for any other reason.
Right. Yeah,
but it is different. It is super different.
It is very different. I mean, I was very surprised when I first, and here's the other thing that I didn't know about violin that Ted actually ended up telling me, because for those who are either new to the show or maybe don't remember, a while back, Ted had talked about in an episode that he bought a cello. And I didn't realize the importance that rosin plays in no pun intended, being able to play a violin. So I've got a violin that's probably well over 100 years old. It's been in the family. I think it must have been my great grandfather brought it over from Germany. So I don't know much about it. I'd love to know more about it. I'd love to it may not be worth anything as far as, monetary value. Sentimentally, it is obviously worth a lot to me. But I'd love to know more about it, just to know if anybody, could tell me who made it or any of the history of it. But anyway, so my grandfather gave me this violin because it has to stay in the family. My brother at the time was still, I think he had just gone into the Marines. So it was like, he wasn't really in a position to be able to take it and take care of it. So I have it for now. And I was like, oh, cool, great. I got a violin. So I get it home. I take it out. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna break this thing out. I'm gonna be able to play like Boyd Tinsley in about 5 minutes because I play guitar. And it never panned out very well because I didn't realize that I needed rosin to make the bow work properly. Yes. And that is very important because the bow really doesn't make much noise without rosin.
And you are just sitting there like, here we go.
Like scratchy noises. That's about it. Like, I probably could make better sounds if I plucked the strings than I could by trying to run the bow across them. So I've yet to get any rosin, but maybe I should try it again. I'm still not going to be able to play that well, I'm sure, but it'll probably go a little better.
It will sound differently. That's what I can 100% guarantee, is that it will sound different. I didn't say it was going to sound great. I just said it's going to sound different. I want to specify.
Yes. No, I'm not anticipating miracles here, but I feel like it would make a world of difference to have the appropriate tools to make the thing work right. So, and I'll at some point probably need to take it to, Ted took a couple of violins that he acquired to someplace locally, and he had a bunch of work done on, I think he only ended up getting one of them worked on by the time all was said and done, but he was really happy with the work that guy did on those violins. So at some point I should probably take this down to that guy and just have it looked over, make sure everything's all good with it and everything, because it is very, very old. But yeah, so I've been feeling a bit inclined to learn the violin and maybe pick up a Celtic mandolin, but I feel like a Celtic mandolin, it would be like the violin experience where it's different enough. Oh, he also played a banjo, and he did a cover of Jolene. That's another thing he did. Yeah.
He did.
Yes. And if my friend and former coworker Amber happens to be watching or listening to this show, I sent that to her immediately because she's a huge Dolly Parton fan, and I was like, oh, you're gonna love this, and I'm pretty sure she loves Disturbed.
Dolly Parton fan. Don't tell me who you are.
don't write us at distortedopinionshow@gmail.com. Don't do that.
Do this. Do not do this.
Yeah, so he does a cover of that, which, you know, my mom was like, really? It's a guy singing this song. And I'm like, yes, it is a guy singing this song. And she's like, well, that's kind of odd. It's not a guy singing the original. And I'm like, there's a lot of songs like that where
there's so many songs like that.
Yeah, I'm sure most of the country music she listens to is covers of like guys covering songs that were sung by a woman and vice versa. So I'm
could
like,
have been originally written from a different perspective and then switched when it got into the hands of the artist.
True. That's true.
Really, they're very much interpretive.
True. But yeah, so I mean, he covered the original, didn't change the lyrics or anything, but he's playing a banjo in that video as well. But I feel like all of those instruments, while they have strings, are not similar enough that you can switch between them if you've never played the other ones before and have it sound decent. So I feel like if I were to buy a Celtic mandolin, I'd be horribly disappointed in how awful the sounds that came out of it would be. They're also, maybe it's just the one that I had found in particular at Guitar Center, but they're a little bit on the pricier side. The one I had found, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it again. Let me see if I can look. Celtic mandolin was, yeah, I mean, you can get an Ibanez version that's, I don't know if it's used. I mean, I guess you can get them a little less expensive. The one that came up first thing on the Guitar Center site was $750. Ooh, which, I mean, that's not... in the grand scheme, that's not a ton, but I don't know why I'm like, in my mind, I'm picturing it's a smaller instrument than a guitar, and I'm thinking it won't cost as much as a guitar. But at the same time, I'm sure the same level of craftsmanship goes into making one of those that goes into making a good guitar. So I don't know why my mind went to this thing should only be like $200. I mean, you can get some that are like this Ibanez version is, and they call it an A style mandolin. So I don't know. I assume it's what. Yep. You have a question?
No, I have no, because I have so many questions, but I feel like.
Oh, go ahead. Like, I can't probably answer them, but
that's
go ahead.
What I was thinking. I was like, I don't know if else gonna know the answers because I have so many questions about this. It's like, how many styles are there? Are there note ranges, right? Like, like what are the ranges that are available for this mandolin if there's only so many keys? But I'm just not familiar.
Right. I mean, it's got 8 strings on it. Apparently, there's also a Celtic banjo. I don't know what the difference is between a Celtic banjo and a regular banjo, other than this particular one has like a Celtic pattern on the... I don't know if that's what they call that, but I'm going to call it the head, because it looks like a drum head to me and maybe it is a drum head that's on the top of a banjo. I know nothing. Like, you may know that I could talk a lot about guitars and basses for a while, but I know next to nothing about banjos, mandolins, like any of the other stringed instruments. They're not all built the same. But this particular one has 8 strings, so I don't know what a traditional mandolin has. I'll look that up next. Here's a Kentucky standard mandolin, which I assume is different than a Celtic mandolin, but it also appears to have 8 strings on it. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a difference as far as the key, or if you look at them, the shapes are a little bit different. So maybe the shape plays into this. I feel like we get into a gear talk that I know nothing about. I was like, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, there's differences, but I'm not entirely sure what the differences are and how they play into the sound. So here's the description of the, this is the gold tone traditional Irish mandola, Okay, so it's not, they don't call it a mandolin, they call it a mandola. I don't know if that's the same thing. With, what does it say? With case gloss natural. Okay, I assume that means it's in gloss natural and it comes with a case, but that's a weird way of writing it. So down in the description, it says the mandola, often used in Celtic traditional music, is to the mandolin what the viola is to the violin. So there we go. It's not the same thing.
It is not the same thing. Okay.
The 4 double courses of strings are usually tuned to fifths to C, G, D, A. A fifth lower than a mandolin, but many other tunings may be used. This mandola features authentic Celtic tone and low, comfortable playing action. It's got a cast braille tailpiece. I guess that's thicker than sheet metal tailpieces and provides more sustain. It's a traditionally shaped and finished mandola. It says it will complement the sound of any acoustic ensemble. It's also available as a left-handed model. So we got some answers if I had read the description there. It is not a mandolin. I was misspoken for the last 15 minutes that we've been going on and on about this.
Turning us out in the comments. It's fine.
Yeah, somebody from Ireland is gonna be pissed.
We were learning this as we went along.
Yes, I did not do due diligence before diving into this conversation, but I didn't quite anticipate that we were gonna go this far into the weeds with this conversation. So
that's how much he's inspired us. That's how much he's inspired us.
It's almost turned into a gear talk, which we haven't done in months. But you're going to get a little education. You're going to learn alongside us here a little bit here about the mandola and the mandola, the Celtic mandola, which is it's not a Celtic mandolin. It's a Celtic mandola, and there is a difference. Is the viola to the violin. It is the mandola to the mandolin of the mandolin family, I guess. So, yeah. Very interesting side trip that we've taken talking about the mandola, but I see this is
how
exactly...
Caleb may or may not order one, how I'll be definitely picking back up my violin.
It'll be a bit before. Yes, actually, if you want to pick up the violin, I will see about getting. I don't know if I'll spring for the $750 mandola, but I might spring for something on the more beginner side of things, and I'll learn the mandola. You learn the violin. We'll start a Celtic group.
All right. All right.
And Irish folks everywhere will cringe at my mandola playing. So yes, that's, I am inspired to learn the mandola, to pick up a violin. Even the banjo part was really cool to see him playing that. He does do some songs where he has a female vocalist that sings on some of the tracks, who's also excellent. And unfortunately, I don't know anything about her. Because I wasn't really paying attention when the videos were playing. I was doing other stuff, so I was hearing it, and I would see her, but I didn't see the description of who it was, so I'd have to go back and look. But
she's probably phenomenal if she can she can even just be in the same range. I mean, just to have, if he's singing the way that he's singing, I can't imagine that he's just asking anybody to sing alongside him. So I know she's good.
Right. Yes, she's very good. So, yeah, what I would say, I guess, is definitely go listen to any of his stuff because it's all fantastic. Like I said, I've been listening to his stuff, all of it, on Spotify for the last, I'll say day and a half, because today was kind of a crazy day and I was away from my desk half of the day, so I really wasn't listening to a lot of music today, but most of yesterday and when I was sitting at my desk today, I was listening to a lot of his stuff, and it is very, very awesome music. And again, one of those deals where this is somebody I would not have probably discovered had it not been for the fact that TikTok showed me one of his videos, and then I started watching some of his other stuff, and I'm like, this is really good stuff. And I head over to YouTube and I look to see, does he have a full video of this song? Because the other thing you have to do too, there's listening to the song, but then you got to watch the videos that he does with these songs too, because you can see him doing all the different parts, and they're very well put together, so they're fun to watch too. So then I'm off on YouTube and I'm looking for his videos and I'm watching some of them and seeing some of the instruments that he's playing and how he's playing them. But then you can listen to stuff on Spotify, but it's just somebody who's in another country playing a completely different style of music. I've spent a lot of time. We talked about around St. Patrick's Day last year. We did a special, or earlier this year, I should say. We did a special on Celtic music and not necessarily like I talked more about Celtic music, but I remember Ted being like, does it have to be Celtic music? Because there's other songs I think of that to me, I think St. Patrick's Day, but they aren't necessarily Celtic. And I'm like, no, I would say this is, we're talking about music that we feel is worthy of being listened to for St. Patrick's Day. But the stuff I picked out was all Celtic music. And so I love Celtic music. I would, if I could travel anywhere in the world, I would love to travel to Ireland. It's probably one of the only places that I've always wanted to go see.
Really? I'm making a mental note because I know that Kayla is not a fan of the friendly skies at times. Yes. But
that's the big problem right there.
But like I would take that journey with you. I think I would definitely take that journey with you. I think just like first of all, I believe that those who I work with, I do have like some Irish colleagues and they are just fun people to be around. And when you see photos, I can't imagine that it's just going to be like beautiful to take in and experience. So I would take that trip with you for sure.
Ooh, okay. I will keep that in mind because I mean,
so if you're ready to do this journey and you're ready to get like, get this passport situation.
Well, I was going to say.
Yeah. So like whenever you get your passport, let me know. We can plan a trip. I'd go with you for sure.
All right. I mean, I've always wanted to go there. So here in town, you may remember this. And for our listeners and our viewers who aren't familiar with the area, downtown is really kind of changed a lot here in this town over the years. But when we were in high school, we had a place called O'Hanlon's, JP O'Hanlon's, which was an Irish pub and restaurant. And they would often have live Irish music that would play down there. And I used to love going down there and listening to the Irish music. And one of the probably most disappointing things to me when they closed was the fact that there wasn't going to be a place. I don't know if there's any other place without maybe going into Boston. I don't know if there are any places where you can really listen to live Irish music like at a restaurant or at a pub. But I always enjoyed listening to the Irish music. And there's something about this guy, like my grandfather on my dad's side had interesting musical tastes. To this day, one of the songs I really have a hard time with. So Sirius XM does a Celtic station around St. Patrick's Day, and they play what now I can't remember who does the song. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. I'm about to tell a story and I can't even remember the song, but I can remember my grandfather listening to it over and over and over again. It's probably going to come to me after the show's done. And I'm like, and I'm going to have to put something in the notes of the show to say what it was. The band played Waltzing Matilda. It was originally by Eric Bogle. And for some reason, the last time I went to go visit my grandparents, which was Easter of 2015, and it turns out it was the last time that I saw my grandfather before he passed, we moved my grandfather, and I think I've talked about this during our video game episodes. My grandfather was a big, he was always into technology. He was playing video games all the time. He had a Dolby surround speaker system on his computer downstairs, so when he would play his games, you could hear the bass from down the street. You could feel the house shaking, and he liked to listen to, as my grandmother called it, papa music. So he had a lot of weird polka type stuff going on. But for some reason, we moved his computer upstairs because he couldn't go downstairs anymore, and we put it in the sunroom, and we hooked up his computer, speakers, and everything, and he kept playing, the band played Waltzing Matilda on a loop for an entire day while we were there. And So anytime I hear that come on the Celtic station, I have a hard time with it because I associate it with that last time I saw my grandfather and he was playing this over and over again. But knowing what I knew about his musical taste, something tells me that he would have really enjoyed this guy's music. So I'm like, you know, I can't say it enough. I've really been enjoying listening to this stuff.
And it's interesting because, like, it's not Celtic, but his voice. There's something particular about Irish singers. There's this certain, no matter like what they're singing, there's the best way I can put it is like angelicness to it. It's hard to encapsulate into a word, but they tend to have that similar tone no matter what they're singing. And you can always like pick up like, where's this person from? And then you find out like, of course they're from Ireland, because there's something about only people, one, it could have to do with their natural accent, one, and something that just being from that area gives you that it can't be found anywhere else. But you can always kind of pick up on the fact that the person singing is Irish.
Right. Definitely. I mean, without even having looked at his name, without having done any research on him, just hearing his music, again, like you said, there's something about it. There's a quality that you know you're listening to somebody who's Irish when you hear them sing. And even if you listen,
it's not even the accent. It's like, it's not the accent. It's just the way that they approach the song. Right. But for some reason, no matter who it is, I'm like, I can't. Maybe somebody knows out there in the comments. Maybe somebody from Ireland can tell me what it is that only Irish people have when they are singing, that it just does something to it, something special. Right,
definitely. So yeah, I feel like I could go on and on about Colm McGuinness and his music, but believe it or not, I feel like we're quickly approaching an hour here. We should probably move in. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think by the time we're done our song of the week, we're gonna be right up to that's why I was like, I initially said I'm thinking about submitting this song as an unofficial review song, but then the more I thought about it, the more I realized I feel like we're gonna probably end up spending possibly a majority of an episode talking about this guy's music, and sure enough, we did. So I'm not going to call it the official song review segment because this whole episode has just been about this guy's music. But let's just say I don't care what genre of music you prefer to listen to. If you don't listen to one of the songs this guy's done and enjoy it, like, I'll give you your money back. How's that sound? Like, we're not charging you to listen to this.
Yeah.
You get your refund on your freebie. So just go listen to it. But anyway, and you've learned a few things here, hopefully, because we've learned a few things as we've dug into
the mandolin, not the mandolin, the viola, the violin. We're all going to be purchasing instruments and getting ourselves back into things that we once picked up.
Yes. Well, except for me, I've never picked up a mandolin, so that'll be a whole new thing. But I'm inclined to pick up the violin and probably not sound good, but I'll have to get some rosin and give that a shot.
Yes.
I don't even know how to tune a violin. That's the other thing. I'm sure there's probably videos online.
Yeah, I'm about to say nowadays it's so easy to kind of, get yourself some baseline. Nothing can really.
Right.
Well, I take that back. The internet is a very powerful thing. So.
True. You can find a lot of bad information on the internet,
too. You can find bad information, but I would say if you search hard enough, you'll find, I'm sure, someone who is willing to just put out all the necessary information needed to kind of get started. Right. I'm sure if I dig deep enough, I'll find like some old sheet music or something for the violin. If I'm really searching for it, that'll be interesting. It's probably like hot cross buttons and like green sleeves, some random things that
Yeah, everybody got one of those books, huh?
Everybody got one of those.
Yes.
I'm sure it's somewhere. It'll be really fun to see. Like I want to smell it. Like, what does it smell like? Does it smell like old paper? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of miss that smell sometimes. Everything's electronic, so I want to know.
That's true.
Like,
That's
there's
true.
something about like it's funny. It's something about like feeling and smelling sheet music.
Yeah.
It feels like it's living, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put it.
It's funny that you say that because I think the last time I actually picked up a printed piece of sheet music was probably in college when I was still in the band. Because like even now, I don't have my iPad in here with me, but I either watch videos or I have an app called Songster with 2 R's, and it's $5 a month, but it's a tab app for guitar. And so it's kind of like back in the day I used to use Guitar Pro on my computer, and it's kind of like Guitar Pro, but it's designed for mobile devices. I think also they have a website. You can use the website, but I always use the app because I'm always on my iPad. So I can put my iPad here and I can look for a song I want to learn and I can play it off the iPad. Or if that app doesn't have what I'm looking for, there's another app called Chordify, which is pretty cool. Chordify, you can search for any video that's on YouTube. It will process the music in that and it will give you the chords for the song. So you can at least get a baseline for your chords using that app, which has helped me a lot with some songs that I can't find tabs for. But I haven't bought like a tab book or a piece of sheet music in at least 11 years.
Yeah.
12 years.
Mine's probably longer,
yes.
so it's not
probably
great.
High school for you. Somewhere around there.
It's not great. Yeah, it's definitely high school. It's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's something to it though. Like it'd be nice.
I agree.
To, like, hold for once and then I'd probably be like sick of it afterwards. But
this paper's taking up space. It's gotta go.
Why is this here? It's just floating around.
Exactly. That's the problem, is everything takes up space now. But I agree though. It is nice to have something tangible. It's kind of like the discussion we've had about why buy CDs still when CDs aren't really relevant? Well, because I like having the physical, tangible artwork. And that's one of the things I really actually like about vinyl is you get that bigger version of the artwork.
That's why
but it also sounds different.
That's why everybody goes for the vinyl. It's like there's this like iconic piece of artwork that goes with this iconic piece of music.
Hold on, I gotta do a quick show and tell real quick. Let me grab something that's over here.
Wait.
I should have put it closer. Great. You may know that I got this already, and I'm gonna make this quick because we were gonna go into song of the week, and then we got sidetracked again talking about the instrumentation and stuff. But if I can figure out how this box opens now. So I got something in the mail a while ago. I haven't even opened it yet. But speaking of having big album art and stuff,
yes,
this is the Metallica 30th anniversary Black Album box set. Look at all the stuff that's in here. There's if you're listening and you're not watching the video version, this thing has like 14 CDs, 6 LPs. There's like 6 DVDs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. And then there's other stuff in here too. Like I think there's a Snake Pit Pass.
I have chills. I'm looking at it and I have chills. I'm like, I know it's a thing of beauty.
I have not even, like, if you're watching the video version or if you're not watching the video version, I haven't even cracked the plastic on this thing yet. And the funny thing is, I've also got the box sets for, which ones did I get? Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, and Injustice for All. I think the only one I don't have is Kill 'Em All. But this one, so my mom wanted to get this for me for my birthday, and I'm like, well, I was gonna order it, and it's kind of pricey, but I was waiting because I was gonna wait till I got paid on payday, and this sucker sold out as soon as it became available, and I somehow managed the next morning, I logged in and refreshed the page and they were available again, and I managed to snag one, and then shortly after they were not available again. So I thought, like, yeah, I'll be able to get one another time, because that's how I got the other ones. I waited and I got them later. But apparently this one, I don't know if this one's different than how they've done them in the past, but they're not going to do, like, once they sold out of them, they weren't going to do any more, like, they weren't going to issue it again. So I was like, well, I see it available. I guess I better get it now and just bite the bullet, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to deal with the cost of it later, which it wasn't a huge deal. But yeah, so this I'm... Speaking of needing to have something tangible, like, I should open it at some point, but at the same time, I'm also like, I don't want to crack open the seals on it, because I don't want to do that. But I mean, look at the box. If you're watching or listening to the audio version, the box this thing shipped in is kind of insane. It's like huge and padded and very obvious as it's sitting on the front porch. I mean, it says right on. It's got the Metallica.
It's so obvious, yeah.
It is the deluxe box set remastered right on the outside of the box that they left on the porch. And I opened the door and I'm like, oh, okay, well, no question as to what's in there. I'm glad that I don't have neighbors that would have looked at that and decided to take it. But yeah, this thing is, it weighs a ton. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here.
Crazy.
So yeah, anyway, we were talking about tangible stuff, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go grab that, because I haven't talked about that, and it's right over there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's amazing.
I'm very excited about it. So anyway, yeah, now that it's been another like 15 minutes, maybe now we should go into the song of the week. So I'll give the usual spiel, and then I don't know if you're gonna need some time to figure.
Let me pick. I always change in my mind as we're talking.
I know, which is why I'm like, oh, maybe you need a minute. So I'll give the spiel, and then if you want, I can give my song of the week pick, which probably isn't going to be much of a surprise, and then we can toss it over to you.
Okay.
So as always, if you're new to the show, we have a Spotify Song of the Week playlist. We put all of our Song of the Week picks into that, and you can, in the description, click the link to get there, or if you're watching the video version of the show, we put up a Spotify scan code on the screen, and all you have to do is open up Spotify on your phone or mobile device, and in the search bar, click the camera and hold up your device to the screen. It'll scan the code and it'll take you right to the playlist. We've got a very eclectic playlist, and it's getting more and more eclectic every episode. Especially, I feel like the last couple of months here, we've had some very unusual, like outside of the ordinary of what the crew of Distorted Opinions usually picks. It's been a very different type of music style each week. So there's a little something for probably everybody there at this point. So be sure to check that out. And we've also got the playlist for our song review segment, which doesn't have a whole lot of songs in it at the moment, but we're hoping to add to that. I'm not going to put the code up, but we'll put the link to that in the description, so you can click on that if you want to check that out. With that being said, it should come as no surprise that my song of the week pick is going to be Northwest Passage by Colm R. McGuinness. And I actually don't know which album he put this on, or if it's just a single. I didn't, like, again, I normally do much more research, especially for the song of the week picks, but it looks like it was off the album The Last Length, which he actually released this year, 2021. I can't say that for much longer. It is almost 2022, believe it or not. Whew. And this song, or this album, has some other sea shanties and some traditional Celtic songs, and Barrett's Privateers, which was another song we talked about. But Northwest Passage is the song that I'm picking, and we've talked about it at length, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I'm just going to say that I believe this song is actually based on actual, like, historical again, I had planned to do more research on this, but I think there was actually an expedition of some sort, and this song is based on that. So originally it was by... Wow, everything's just going right out my mind right now. This is not one of my better songs of the week. This is why I'm always prepared.
Everyone listening, it's Friday. We've had a week. Thoughts have just escaped.
Stan Rogers, that is the singer that I had mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So I did just look up on, as Matt would say, everybody's trusted source of information, Wikipedia. This is actually apparently one of the best known songs that Stan Rogers did, and his version was an a cappella as well. Mm-hmm. Let's see. It recalls the history of early explorers who were trying to discover a route across Canada to the Pacific. I can't talk. Let me start that again. Yes, I'm gonna pop out of your screen now, and that's gonna be the end of the show. Ay. Okay, let me try that again. It's probably gone longer than it should have, because now I'm just falling apart. Well, it recalls the history of early explorers who were trying to discover a route across Canada to the Pacific Ocean, especially Sir John Franklin, who lost his life in the quest for the Northwest Passage. The song's central theme is a comparison between the journeys of past explorers and the singer's own journey to and through the same region. The singer ultimately reflects that just as the quest for a Northwest Passage might be considered a fruitless one, and that a viable and navigable Northwest Passage was never found in the days of Franklin and his kind, a modern-day journeyer along similar paths might meet the same end. The song also references the geography of Canada, including the Fraser River. To race the roaring Fraser to the sea is the lyric. On the western coast and the Davis Strait to the east, he's driving across the prairies, allowing him to view the cities behind him fall and the cities ahead rise. So, that is what the Northwest Passage is about. Give it a listen. Give the Stan Rogers version a listen. That was very good as well, but I would highly recommend checking out Colm McGuinness's cover of Northwest Passage. It is excellent, and watch the video if you can on YouTube. And with that, hopefully with all my stumbling and stuttering and like probably the worst song of the week rundown that I've ever given in the history of the show.
Song of the week rundown. No, hopefully let's take Keisha that back. It's the best. Oh
God. And I guess it all is in the eye or the ear of the listener and the viewer, but yes. Hopefully I'll play it off as I was buying you time to figure out.
I appreciate that, because my mind's always racing. Every time we do this, I feel like I come in with an idea and a song, and then I just like stop telling you because I'm like, it's gonna change. I don't know why. Because we always talk about a lot of different things, but this one has been on my mind lately because as it gets cold and we're all like stuck and I'm back in the TV show season, there are a couple of shows that are either have returned or are returning. And one of them I'm really excited about to binge once the season kind of gets itself going is Euphoria. And that soundtrack, first of all, that entire soundtrack from season 1 is outstanding. It's done, I think it's composed or it's produced by the artist is Labyrinth.
Okay.
But one song in particular that they do for the season finale is called All For Us. And it features Zendaya, who is the lead actress, Emmy-winning lead actress in that show. What's cool about Labyrinth is his approach to songs, because he kind of does a little bit of everything. He like sampled all types of stuff. So it sounds very electronic and dance when you're first starting out in a song, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a choir involved, and then Zendaya has amazing range. She's an incredible vocalist. She's a great singer. She's this amazing thespian of an actress, a singer, a dancer. She's amazing. And she sings, and she's very soulful. She has a soulful like sound to her already. Not entirely. She's not like the world's like most powerful singer. She's a trained singer. So like she understands her range, and the song choices that she does sing, I think are makes it that much more enjoyable to listen to. Because paired with this journey that you go on with Labyrinth, when I say he probably samples songs from like Mario, I'm not even joking, because like you'll hear these like little random like grink, like you'll hear these random sounds and noises, but then it's composed in this really awesome song. Like it's so cool. So all for us. Hi, Kayla's dog.
Sorry, I wasn't quick enough on the mute there.
It's okay. But yeah, all for us. And that song was really cool because it came at such a intense moment at the season finale of that show. So I was going to do that, and I'll probably save my other HBO shows songs for later on. And
okay,
especially if we pick up our instruments of choice and go on, then I'm definitely going to talk about one of them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
the wheels are turning.
Laying down some little breadcrumbs there.
You know, maybe we should do a show at some point, because we haven't revisited the episode that we did on TV show soundtracks, and I feel like there were a lot of shows that episode that I didn't talk about because we didn't have time. So I know I could probably go back to that. And if there's one thing you do know, it's that I may not watch a lot of movies, but I've seen a lot of TV. So I can certainly talk to you at length about music in TV shows.
Yes.
Music in movies, not so much.
TV shows, and I'm going to say this now as we head into it.
Figure skating
gets it, we're going to need to do a little rebuttal, because there are bound to be some great choices, especially when you see what has been happening so far. Like, yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, actually, I've been watching. I feel like I shouldn't get into this because I'll end up in another 15-minute spiel before wrapping up the show here. But let's just say it's Grand Prix time. We're heading into the Olympics, and it has been like week after week. My DVR is filling up with figure skating. I can't keep up with all of the figure skating that's on my DVR. But yeah, there's some really great music in figure skating and some really interesting choices this year in particular. So yeah, I could also spend an episode just talking about music in figure skating, but we'll have to revisit that for another episode, because we've already, believe it or not, I didn't really pay close attention to what time it was when we started this, but I'm pretty sure we're at about an hour now, and we've been mostly talking about just one artist this episode. So we'll have to, I should make some notes of some of these things we've talked about maybe doing in the future. Maybe we should revisit some of these conversations in another episode or two. So on that note, hopefully you have been given some ideas of some songs to go check out. You've learned some things about some different instruments tonight. I mean, I feel like this was a well-rounded episode. Yeah, I feel like this had a little bit of everything. And as a reminder, if you are interested in being on a show, if you are a local, well, it doesn't have to be local at this point. If you are an artist, a musician, and you have a song that you'd like us to talk about on the show, if we find you, obviously we will talk about you anyway. But if you have not yet been discovered by us and you'd like us to talk about your song, reach out to us and let us know. If you have an idea for a future topic as well, reach out to us and let us know. And there are a few ways you can do that. You can head over to our Anchor page at anchor.fm/distortedopinions. You can leave us a voice message there. You can find links to our social media platforms. We are available on pretty much any podcast platform at this point if you just search for Distorted Opinions. We are on YouTube, and we've talked about this. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers, so even if you don't watch the video version of the show, head over and hit the subscribe button so we can get to the 100, because we'd like to make a custom URL, and we need 100 subscribers to be able to do that. And there is currently a prize, I don't know what you want to call it, on the table.
Prize entertainment series, yes.
Yes. If we get to 100 subscribers, Matt, who has not joined us in a bit here, but is still a part of the show, he has agreed to go into an undisclosed Home Depot and play the Home Depot theme on his guitar and video that to post on the internet. if we get to 150 subscribers, he will take it a step further, and he will wear his wife's Ugg boots, a pair of skin tight shorts, and a tank top while playing the Home Depot thong in a Home Depot. So get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know to go subscribe on our channel if you want to see Matt potentially embarrass himself in public while playing the Home Depot theme. You can also send us an email at distortedopinionsshow@gmail.com. You can leave us a comment on any of our social media platforms. We are pretty responsive no matter how you choose to reach out to us, and there are lots of ways to reach out to us. So on that note, Keisha, thank you again, as always, for joining me. It's always a good time.
Thank you.
Yes, anytime.
It's a grand time. It's a grand time.
Yes, it's never. Hopefully, our audience is enter. What is it with me? Am I having a stroke tonight? I can't talk. My God. It's been a long day. Let me just put it that way. Hopefully, our audience has been as entertained as we are when we do these shows. And with that, we thank you for tuning in. Keisha is like gone.
I'm broken, guys. Sorry.
Thank you for tuning in this episode, and we hope you'll join us again next week, where hopefully we'll have some more fun here on Distorted Opinions. Thank you. We'll see you then.
Bye.